Why won't you work? Why? Just work. Open! Oh, hey. Welcome to Yogi's Garage. Look, yeah, you caught me. I'm a little emotional. Been wrestling with this convertible top for some time now. I've doubled down on trying to get this to work. I know that in my last video, I talked about going out and buying a convertible top to just swap it all out. That was a big bust. And here's why. You go to a junkyard and sometimes they don't know what exactly you're looking for. They'll think that you're looking for the frame. They'll think that you're looking for the fabric or the whole thing. I was looking for the whole thing. It was very, very muddy and wet. And they had a bunch of 996s and 986s, which if you don't know what that is, that's a Boxster, which the Boxster and the 911 shared a lot of the same parts during that decade. Nothing. A lot of Boxster tops, all of the 911 tops were just destroyed. And we're talking $1,000 convertible top just sitting out in a junkyard, not really being utilized. So big bust. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is just buying new fabric for the inside and for the top. But first I gotta get this thing to work. If you recall, the last time I reached a point where I couldn't get anything to work. The calibration wasn't working. The module checked out, but nothing would open or close. And as I mentioned, convertible tops are pretty finicky. They have to open and close in a certain sequence, right? The window's got to go down, the flap's got to open, otherwise things can get mixed up and break something. So that's why that's there. So what I plan on doing today is to dig even deeper. I mean, I'm going beyond my comfort zone here and dealing with electrical problems and continuity and making sure that there's enough resistance and not too much. All this electrical stuff that has to be looked over before you start pouring money into this. So I'm gonna save you your money and I'm gonna spend all the money and do it for you. But what I hope you get out of this video is not so much a step-by-step, but an overall, this is how you fix a convertible top, recalibrate it, and get you back on the road. Without further ado, here we go, part 2, big top trouble. Enjoy the show. All right, so what I want to do now is drain the hydraulic fluid, the old hydraulic fluid from the reservoir, as Cabriolet Hydraulics was nice enough to give me a fresh vial. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. We'll loosen this fill hole here. It does look like there is a washer in there too. Okay, so Cabriolet Hydraulics gave me a new crush washer for not only the adapters here or the hoses here and here, but also for the fill. So thank you for that. Now we have a new crush washer to eliminate the leaking. And now what we want to do is drain this out. So I have a little receptacle here for draining. There we go. Still got more in there. Looks like olive oil. Yeah, there's some crud in there. It's a good idea to change this out, folks. If you haven't done it, it's not hard. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and refill the hydraulic cylinder now. There's no reason why I shouldn't. It's a pretty slow process. Hydraulic pump goes right there. All right, so I've got the hydraulic pump in place, and now it's time to route the cabling And these are ready to go. There's protectors on the pistons on the rod itself just to keep it from getting dirt or anything in it. But now what I need to do is get this guy routed through this support brace. If you recall in part 1 of my Cabriolet troubles, this one here was snaked in a couple of times, interestingly enough, around the pillar here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that again. And at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and get this thing in position. Okay, simple enough. And I'm going to go ahead and hand tighten those nuts on the inside. Okay. All right, so now that that's in place, it's out of my way. So what I'm doing here is I am routing the conduit, or the hose, into its conduit here so that it is out of the way. All right, let's go around it one more time. Okay, there. I think I'm going to zip tie these together eventually to keep them nice and neat. So now that this conduit's already routed, I'm going to go ahead and reconnect all of this. All right, there. Okay, I got that plugged in now. All right, so this side has a potentiometer, and you can actually see it there on the screen, loop-looking thing, which goes to a sensor. So let's take a look at that. So this goes in like that. All right, so your potentiometer is right here. All right. Now, we're not going to put the C-struts back in. And basically what the C-struts are the metal arms that go from the hydraulic ram to the convertible top. We're going to prime everything up first before we start moving anything. And those are a 13 millimeter. In case you're wondering, this ratchet here is about 30 to 35 foot-pounds. So I can't really do a whole lot of torquing on this just yet. I won't do that until I route all of the cable. So that's next. It really wasn't much to see, but I routed this hose underneath the motor that opens the clamshell, and I'm ready to connect it. So the two hydraulic lines here that go to the hydraulic pump, the drivers go on top, the passengers go on the bottom. So on the face of the hydraulic pump, there's embossed on here or stamped the colors, right, for each side. In this case, on this side here is red, and the other side is blue. Okay, this is where things are going to get a little hairy because of the fact that these hydraulic lines have already been pre-filled, and my insulation is coming off everywhere, and I want to avoid contaminating my work area. I'm going to work with blue first. Here's blue. And again, this is the driver's side, so that goes on top. This is on the bottom. All right. Number one, you hear that under pressure, a little bit of fluid coming out, no big deal. And I'm just unthreading it. There's a little O-ring in there to keep it from leaking during shipment. And I'm pulling and unthreading. So we're going to take a banjo bolt, thin washer, driver's side, thin washer, passenger side, thick washer. All right. Okay, in. Yeah, okay. And and those are 13 mil, and just get it snug. Okay, so I'm just gonna get them snug for now, because what I need to do is ensure that the lines are in the proper orientation. All right, so that's good for now. Okay, so we got our banjo bolt, and then we walk. Some insulation in the way. All right, let's torque these down. 100 inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. There we go. Okay, next one. All right, torqued. Okay, what we're looking at here is the original one that came out of Pepper. I've taken it apart. The screws are around here somewhere. It's broken. The motor is shot, I'm pretty sure. But I want to show you what a broken system looks like. There we go. So I got the dry plate disengaged, and see if this motor works. I don't think it will. Yep. As you can tell, no power. That motor is broke. But nevertheless, I'm going to hang on to it. Maybe somebody needs some gears or something out of it, and I can recoup some of the cost. Okay, so we're approaching a critical point in getting this convertible top to work. There's a lot of steps that are involved. So I'm at the point where I need to power up the motor here to get this latch, this hook that hooks to the frame of the car to lock the convertible top into the extended position, so that I could reinsert this and start the calibration sequence in order to ensure that I have everything aligned up. On the small gear here, there's a single dot, and then on this large gear, there's 2 dots, one on each tooth. And the goal is to power up the motor, so the little dot, so the single dot is in between the 2 dots, basically. It wants me to supply power using a 9-volt battery or a power supply. I have a car battery in case this doesn't work. So in order to disengage and get this to work, I was doing it wrong. Excuse me. I have to push out towards the black gear to disengage this, and then look, it moves perfectly, and you can see the gear or the latch opening. And what I want to do is I want to start in the open position. Okay, noticeable stop. There. That is the open position right there. Finally got it. So at this point, you would have taken this out of the vehicle and set it up on your workbench to complete the calibration process for this motor. So the next thing that it wants you to do, now that this is in the fully open position, is to now put it in the fully closed position. So that is in the opposite direction. And again, there will be a perceptible stop. There. Okay. Fully locked. So here's my power supply. It's a 9-volt battery. I'm going to go ahead and hook up the positive, and then I'm going to hook up the negative and see if I can get this motor to work. So here we go. All right. Coming around. May have to go around a few times. Right there. It took a little bit of finagling, but I got it. All right, so now I've got the 2 dots lined up. It's not ideal. They're not precisely in, but now they're in precisely. All right, so now that it's all in place, let's remove this. And basically what it's having us do is turn this outside brass wheel until it lines up and sinks back in and bites into the black gear. So let's see if we can get that. There we go. Okay, now we're fully in and calibrated. I'm going to try using a much more powerful power supply. I'll use a car battery, 12 volts. Okay. There we go. Look how much more power there is. Fully extended. Okay. Okay, so now that it's fully extended, I'm ready to put this thing back into the car. Hey, that's a weird angle. Okay, I'm continuing from where I was just yesterday with the convertible top. I'm ready to reattach the convertible top lock here. I've extended it, I've calibrated it, it's ready to go back in. The repair manual talks about using Loctite, so I have Loctite on these 4 bolts. They're T30s. What's interesting about this is that these bolts only require like 7 Newton meters, or excuse me, 10 Newton meters of torque to torque them to spec, which is nothing. I mean, I have to use a manual ratchet because even my little 1/4 inch electric ratchet is too powerful. Okay, that's 1. Okay, 2. Okay, like I said, only 7 Newton meters for this. So I'm just going to go straight to the torque wrench and finish ratcheting them in and then get them set. Okay. All right, I had to redo it. Everything's torqued up now. But if you see this little micro switch there, that was on the outside. So a little word of warning, don't try to latch everything back into place with the top in the closed position. Have it in what this is called is the service position. So have it in the service position so that you can get to it. Yeah, there we go. Micro switch engaged. Okay, boom. So that was a good lessons learned. No harm, no foul. That thing is very brittle, so I'm really, really lucky that it didn't break. That's the first part of repairing it. The next thing that it wants us to do is to repair or recalibrate the clamshell. So that's what we're going to do next. Okay, we're reaching the end of this thing, folks. So part of repairing the convertible top is repairing the clamshell. So now what it wants me to do is turn the clamshell manual opener all the way until I have a perceptible stop. The clamshell is already open, so I don't anticipate this thing moving very much. And then the next thing I got to do is go out to the clamshell and manually close it all the way. I'm going to take that fitting out and then put some thread locker on it and make it permanent. Okay, got it. All right, I'm going to go close the lid. All right. Okay, here we go. I can do the rest by hand. And that's what I wanted to avoid, is dropping it, and that's exactly what I did. All right, crotch is averted, found the bolt, putting some thread locker on it now. I'm using the blue type. I don't want to use the orange or red because those are too tight. Just putting a smidge on there. And again, keep in mind, this is a left-handed thread, so thread it in accordingly, which is righty-tighty, or counterclockwise-y tighty. It says to do it 3 times. So let's do it. I don't think that's accurate. 1, 2, 3. That's 3. But I'm not sure. I think I'm going to go one more. Just to make me feel better. There. One more. All right. No harm, no foul, I don't think. But hey, I know how to calibrate this thing now, so it doesn't really matter. And there's one more thing I need to do, and that is to ensure that this the bleeder valve on the back of the hydraulic pump is closed. When you're doing the open and closing of the emergency, that bleeder valve is supposed to be open. I haven't done any of that, so I haven't opened it, but I need to make sure that it is closed. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yeah, closed now completely. It was closed, just slightly loose. All right, so that valve is closed. Now we're ready to calibrate. So the next thing is to get this reattached to its anchor point right here, and that will hold the glass rear part of the top in place during the opening and closing of the top. So I'm getting really, really close.
Round 1, fight!
So now I'm ready to calibrate this top and keep our fingers crossed here that it's gonna work. Okay, car's doors are closed. Okay, here we go. Not doing anything.
Round 2, fight!
I went ahead and took the motor and potentiometer for the clamshell out of the Cabriolet so I could put it on my workbench and verify resistance. The required resistance is 6.2 ohms to the potentiometer, and that's what you see there. So everything checked out. So the potentiometer is calibrated correctly, and I'm going to test the motor. What better way to test the motor than to use a simple 9-volt battery? We're looking at right there. So here's positive and negative. All right, motor works. The convertible top actually started moving once I reconnected the clamshell to the car and left it in the open position. So that's what you're seeing here. One flap. No flap.
Outstanding.
Okay. All right, so that's where we're at.
Round 3, fight!
So this flap here did not go up during the calibration. So that tells me either the motor is bad or I didn't trigger the micro switch during the calibration. So either way, this gives me something that I can troubleshoot now. So let me give it a go again.
Troubleshooting that flap that wouldn't open. What I'm going to do now is test the motor to see if the motor is good. Yeah, looks good to me. All right, so what does that tell me? That tells me that one of these micro switches, this one here, or the top one, has malfunctioned, or it's not getting the signal. So now I got to run a multimeter test on it to see if we're getting continuity through the line when I connect the circuit, right? So we'll do that next. So looking at the wiring here, you can see that the common are joined together. So I'm going to stick the common here, and then the blue color is to the top micro switch, so we'll go to that one. This one doesn't beep for some reason, but when I engage the micro switch, it completes the circuit. Same thing with bottom micro switch. So this is the top and then the bottom. So this is a complete set, functional, everything works. The problem is further upstream. More troubleshooting.
All right, I reconnected everything, but seeing that I got voltage and it was a negative voltage, that tells me that it's trying to send a reverse current to those motors so that it can lower them, and then it hits the micro switch, and then it should go to the next step, which is lowering this thing. So, and then the next thing, of course, is to put the flaps up, and that's where it's failing. So I gotta take a look at the control module.
Final round. Fight.
Okay, I've taken the flap off the lower micro switch. So what I'm hoping to see is that flap go down. So I can narrow it down even further and figure out if it's the down command or the up command. It moved. What the waka? Now they're working.
Superb.
Okay, so calibration is complete, just about. I'm gonna see if I can run through it through the controls on the car and see if that makes any difference. Man, it feels good to have a working convertible top, more or less. Okay, so now I'm gonna try to raise it and see if that flap will go down. I got it. It's working. What the hell? I'm just as confused as you are. But what I'm thinking, here's what I'm thinking. I had to put that flap in between both micro switches for it to finally come together. I'm gonna run through it again, but I wanna get an audience. I want evidence from another human that I got the convertible top working. Let's see what I can do, man.
Finish her.
Darling,
Sweetheart.
I just told my viewers that I needed another human to observe to validate my observation.
Okay, so let me put my shoes on. Because it sounds like you're going to ask me to validate.
Yep. Okay. I'm recording.
All right.
So you are my witness
Okay.
that the convertible top is working.
All right.
Okay. Doopa 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 doop. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day outside. I think I'm gonna go for a drive and take the top down. What a great idea. Okay, top down.
It worked.
It worked.
That is just supposed to go all the way down?
Oh, the clamshell's not closed?
Clamshell's not closed.
Oh, I didn't let it finish.
Okay. Now it works. Nice work.
I got it working.
Fatality.
Oh, yeah. Sweet, sweet victory. I did it. I got the top working. It took a lot of effort. You saw that. A lot of trial and error. There were some things that I left off in the video that I tried that were just, bonkers ridiculous. But hey, I got it working. It ended up being a couple of things. I had to calibrate the locking mechanism that goes right here of course, and I just hear plastic continuing to crumble on this car. So I had to replace the locking mechanism. I had to calibrate it. I had to test and recalibrate the clamshell. And then I had to recalibrate or test and recalibrate the flat motor on the passenger side because it needed to be resynchronized as well. I also replaced the hydraulic rams on this unit as well. So how much did this cost me? I'm sure everybody is wondering, what is a repair like this going to cost? Well, it depends, right? It depends on what you need to have repaired. If your little micro switch lever that I pointed out in the first episode is broken, that's going to cost you, buddy, at least $350 if you're lucky to find somebody that's willing to sell it for that cheap. If you want to go to the dealership and buy the retrofit that Porsche released years after, that's going to set you back at least $1,200. All right? So let's just take the $350 that I paid for the lock, plus the $425 plus shipping. So let's say $450 for shipping on the hydraulic rams. Yeah, so you're looking at about $900 at that point to have your rams rebuilt and to have your motor repaired or replaced. Not repaired, but replaced. Because you can't really repair it unless it's something really simple. So about a $900, and that doesn't get me out of the woodwork. But what it does get me is a functional top. I haven't tested waterproofing yet. I'm not quite there yet. As you can see, the trim on the rear curved windows there, the trim on this one here keeps coming off, and I need to redo them and re-stick them to the glass. I don't think it's going to leak at all, but I need to test it. But this is a victory. So what's next for me and Pepper here? Well, I keep telling you about the interior, and each time you see the car in the videos, you see less and less of the interior in here. So big plans on the interior. As I mentioned, the engine's in really good shape. Yes, it needs just a refresh of all the gaskets and seals and things like that, and I'll get there. But right now, the 911 emergency for this 911 is the interior and the rust. I also have to repair these rollover bars. The computer in here doesn't seem to see that, right? I have windshield wipers that won't work. I think that's just a fuse, but you never know. So yes, a lot of things need to be done in this car. I'm up to the challenge. I think if I can conquer a convertible top, I can conquer the rest of this stuff. I really appreciate you guys sticking it out, and I hope you learned something. Please leave a comment below if you have any feedback on how I handle this. If you liked the video or disliked the video, tell me. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. Tell me why. Subscribe to my channel, please. This is a lot of fun. But I need to be motivated to want to do these kinds of videos. And I know there are viewers out there that need this kind of information. I could not find anywhere the proper steps to calibrate a convertible top. I can find the documentation, yes, but not a video walkthrough for folks that just need to get this done and get back on the road. I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't have time to read through a repair manual. I just need to know what the fix is. So here's the fix. So I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time on Yogi's Garage.
Pay your respects.
Yogi.
Wins.
Yo, microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make the microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the French in the movies. I've been a